So, a lot of you guys complained last time we shot a Taxman video because it was like, where's the blood? Where's the blood? I hope that's enough blood for you. This time we decided to have lots of blood. There was a lot more I wanted to do with the makeup. I kind of applied all of this to myself. I was going to share this as a tip with you guys. Actually, I have a good example. So I did this yesterday, just practicing how to do like scab marks and things like that. That's just a red pen and a black pen. So you kind of just like make the area with the red and then just draw kind of a deep kind of black line through it and then go back over it with red again. And it looks pretty convincing, especially if you have some distance away from it. I was going to do that for all the cuts and things on my face, but as soon as I began to apply it, like both of the markers ran out. So I was like trying my best to still make them look like cuts, not just like blood smeared all over my face, but it doesn't look quite the way I wanted to. But it's dark in here anyway, so it should be okay. So a lot of people, well, we used to do a lot more fight scenes in the past. It's been a while since we've done one. But a lot of people used to ask, what gym do you go to? What martial arts have you studied? You know, how do you set up your fight scenes? How do you edit them and things like that? We are not formally trained in anything. I might have taken 2 karate lessons when I was like 11 years old. We have been filming together as a unit, the 3 of us, for freaking like 15 years or something close to it. So it all comes down to the fact that we've been doing it a long time and we trust each other a lot. So the reason it ends up looking good is because we're literally getting like inches away from each other's face when we're punching. And we're very comfortable with each other and to swing that hard and that fast with the right timing. And sometimes you still connect. Sometimes you still get hit. On the first day of filming, I hit Landon in the chin with my elbow coming up. Today, he hit me with a knee in the side of the face. So sometimes you're still going to get hit, and you got to be prepared for that. And the thing about it, though, is if you just don't be so tight. If you tighten up your face and you tighten up your fists and everything like that, it's going to hurt a lot. But if you're swinging with loose hands, loose fists, it's not going to connect and make a lot of impact. If your face is loose, you know, then it's not gonna hurt a lot when you do get hit. But we just basically try to copy what we see in movies, and we kind of come up with it a lot on the spot, practice it 5, 6, 7 times, and then we really do get really close. Like when I'm coming in on Landon, I'm getting usually about that close to his face. So like
on a good take.
On a good take. So I mean, there are some times when it's obvious we're not trained. Like, I'll probably throw in a couple of these takes we did where I was doing that jump kick, and I was probably like this far away from it. But if you move the camera angle behind and you shoot it at the right direction, and then all of a sudden it looks like it hits, right?
And a lot of any kick or punch looking real is on the person receiving.
Yes.
Not as much person giving. The person receiving, the way they react and the snap and everything, if all of that looks right, it's gonna sell it.
Right.
The other really big thing we do is it's almost musical. It's rhythmic. There's a beat to it.
Yeah.
And that helps each person keep a mental count of when the next move happens, and so you can be in sync and react at exactly the right moment. But there is such a thing as too fast.
Yeah. Yeah, and that actually happened for a couple of takes we did, where Landon was like ducking on this move because he was punching across this way, and I was going to swing across and try to get him to duck, but he was going so fast that I was coming way after he ducked. And so that beat he was talking about, boom, 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 and then you know exactly when to do it. What's up? I'm going to give you guys a few tips on how to edit fight scenes, how to put them together. At least the techniques that we use to do so. So I've brought in a couple of clips. I've actually kind of edited something together here to show as the final thing, but let's bring in, first of all, show me what that is, show me what this is, there we go. I'm going to bring in a couple of clips fresh without having been edited at all. And we're going to kind of go over a couple of different techniques you can use. So
I guess I should bring this up first of all. The reason that this is not fitting the resolution of my composition is because we shot all of our we usually shoot our fight scenes at 60 frames per second. And when you're shooting at 60 frames per second on our cameras, you can only shoot at 720p. You can't go to 1080p at 60 frames. So what we do is we sacrifice the image quality in order to shoot at a higher frame rate. But as you will see here in a second, it's totally worth it to do so. Because when you shoot at 60 frames per second, you can do speed ramps without your footage looking choppy. If you take, let's do a 24 frames per second. I don't know, just edit anything from here. No, let's do it from here because I think I do a little bit more movement. So we had Landon kind of like grabbing me, or is there a place where I do like a punch or a kick? Okay, watch what happens when I speed this footage up. That's at 24 frames per second. Go to speed duration and increase that to 120% or something. The footage gets kind of choppy. You see that? You see how like the camera movement and everything makes the footage look really choppy? Let me get this full screen so you guys can see this. Look at how choppy the movement is with the camera and stuff like that. That's not what you want. You want it to look really smooth. So that's why you have to shoot at 60 frames per second and then do your speed ramp, because you'll be able to speed the footage up, but it will still look really smooth. So that's why we do that. Now, there are two different techniques for making your punches and kicks look really fast. One is, like I just described, you shoot at a higher frame rate and you do a speed ramp. The other is kind of the old school method, which is where you remove frames to make the punches look even faster. So, for example, I would come in here into this punch and go through frame by frame and choose one of those frames to remove. So I would probably cut from right here, cut the next frame out, whoops, and then just make it look more like this. And that ends up looking pretty fast still, right? Because you took one frame out. You come to the next point, probably about like right here, and take one frame out. In fact, it might be better to do this frame. There we go. Oops. And that ends up looking boom, boom. And then come to where I'm starting to punch here. Cut the next frame out. And you got yourself 1, 2, 3, and then maybe even cut this frame here. So what you end up with is something that looks like this. So all of those punches look really fast. But to the trained eye, you can especially see it with when Landon ducks there. Like, you can tell that that is a frame being cut. That's not just him moving really fast. Like, you can tell when he ducks there that a frame has been, there's information missing from this shot. And so while this is effective, I don't think it looks the best. So what I like to do instead, I'm actually going to copy this so you can see the difference between at regular speed and then full speed. Okay, so what I like to do is to speed the footage up a little bit, and at 60 frames per second, it's still going to be smooth. You see that? You're not missing any information there. You're not missing any frames, but it looks fast. Now you watch this in comparison to the original footage, And you look at how much faster and like more brutal this looks now. See that? All of a sudden we look like dinosaurs in the original footage. Even though we were swinging pretty hard and pretty fast here. Like, we weren't trying to hurt each other or anything, but we wanted it to look convincing. So we were swinging pretty hard. But in comparison, like, this looks way, way, way faster. So that's one tip that I would suggest. Shoot your fight scenes at a high frame rate and do speed ramps. Now, I've kind of edited together a little piece here. And so, you know, if we go back to here, you see that, like, when Landon comes up with this fist, he doesn't really come all the way through. Like, you can see that he's about 4 inches away from my face still. So this is a good time to cut to another angle. Another thing you need to do when you're shooting fight scenes is shoot multiple angles of the same thing, so that you make sure that you have angles that really sell the hit. And shooting profile, which is what this shot is, directly from the side, that's a really hard angle for fight scenes, because that's an angle where you can see that you're not actually connecting. So the best angles to shoot for fight scenes to sell that are over the shoulder angles, like this, where you're looking kind of over my shoulder at an angle, and then it's going to look, you know, like Landon's connecting with my face. It's going to look like I'm connecting with my kick. You know, I'm actually coming across his face with the action, and that's what really sells the hits. So that's what I ended up having to do, is cut in the middle of this action. So he's coming up with his fist and coming through on this angle, and it sells the hit a lot better. Another thing to keep in mind about speed ramps is that, you know, for this angle, you know, the original shot, it's okay to just speed up the whole thing, because for the most part, we're just swinging our fists. But you're not always going to want to do that. Sometimes you want to break it up a little bit. For instance, here, this part of the clip, from where Landon hits me to where I kick him, I sped that up to 120%. But then I left his reaction, because he really swings his head back really fast and hard here. I left that at normal speed, because when I sped that up, it didn't look natural. It looked like it was in fast forward mode or something. So you want to break it up a little bit, you know, get certain actions at 120% and then leave some reactions at normal speed. I did the same thing with this shot. The first part of it, my first part of the action where I jump up at him, I sped up to make it look really fast. But when I'm falling to the ground, you don't want to speed up someone falling down, because that's one of the easiest things to notice. That's one of the quickest things, because we all are subject to gravity. We know how long it takes something to fall to the ground. That's something that we can pick up. So if I speed up, in fact, let's just go ahead and show the difference between this and this. So if I leave it all at 120%, watch the fall there. I mean, it's not too bad because I'm not speeding it up that much. But look at this in comparison. Let me get to this. You see how that fall is at a normal speed there? And this one looks too fast. Dang it. Okay, we'll show it one more time here. So the difference between this, where I jump fast but fall at a normal speed, versus this, where I fall at a fast speed too. You know, this one just looks a little bit more natural to me. And so you kind of want to go through it and pick and choose exactly which spots to speed ramp and which ones not. And so as long as you're speed ramping correctly at the right spots, you're not just speeding up the whole footage, but only the parts that you want, like just the kick, just that, and then, you know, slow it back down again. It should end up looking pretty convincing, as well as, you know, making sure you cut at the right time. So for instance, this cut here, you know, is a really good place to cut so that you can sell the hit. I would also want to do that in this for that hit right there, because you can see that Landon doesn't actually really connect, or it doesn't look like from this angle that he's connecting with my face. I came to the same frame last time I tried to film this. My face looks really funny here. But this is an example of where you'd want to cut again, and that's what I ended up doing in the final version of the fight scene. I cut to the other angle from behind my shoulder when he comes up with his fists, because that looked really good. It looked like he was really connecting with my face there. So that's a place where you'd want to cut. So shooting from multiple angles, shooting at a fast frame rate, like 60 frames per second, and then doing speed ramps, as well as, you know, proper editing, is really going to help to make your fight scene look fast and brutal, but also natural. So thanks for watching, and ask any questions you want in the comments. Peace!